Okay, I'd like to call the planning board meeting of August 18th to order, quorum being present. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law pursuant to chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the planning board during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. So the meeting's been called to order. We've read the state thing, introduction of planning board members and staff. Oh boy, we're heavy hitters this evening. Why don't we start with the top? We have Jill Cahill, our number 2 in charge of the city. We have Greg Catamatori, our planning director. Gemma Wilkins, who now apparently, because I keep on saying that she's the senior planner, is now the senior planner in community development. We're welcoming David Fields for the first time, our new community development director. Welcome. Beverly Bookins is a planning board member, Hank McCarl, Jane Ramson, Sean Henry. I'm gonna scoot up here a second, hang on. Doug Cook, of course, Jane Ramson, and myself, Rick Noonan, the chair. And I know I'm forgetting Catherine McNiff, who was our scribe. I think that covers all the bases this evening. Anybody that left out, just shout. So first on the agenda this evening is a review and recommendation of appointment. This is for David Fields to the position of Community Development Director. So in the file that was I believe a letter from the mayor addressed to the board, as well as his impressive CV. So David, if you want to take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us how you landed here in Gloucester, that would be fantastic. Oh,
Jill's going to introduce him.
Go ahead, Jill. You take control.
Thank you. Good evening, planning board members. I haven't been in front of you guys in a long time. It's nice to see you all, and I'm thrilled. I'm truly thrilled to be here and introduce the new community development director for your consideration. And I want to thank both the chairman, Rick Noonan, and Jane Remsen for the time they spent on our search committee process. I think most of you know the position's been open since I moved over to this position in January. We went through several rounds and a lot of consideration, knowing that it's a really key position in the city. It's important to me. I worked really hard to build that department. So it's important to me, and it's important to the mayor and the city council and all the work that you do in planning board as well. So we took a long time. It was a lot of work, a lot of interviews, and we're very thrilled to be here introducing Dave Fields. Comes most recently to us from the town of Danvers as planning and economic development director. But experience in municipalities as well as as a volunteer on boards. So he's been on both sides. And I think he's jumped right in. He's been here not quite 2 weeks. I'm throwing a lot at him very quickly and he's rolling with it nicely. So far, so good. And I hope that you guys will give him a favorable recommendation to city council. And I'm happy to answer questions, and I'll stay for David's.
Jill, it's nice to see you again. I can remember when you were director of community development.
I remember being in front of you guys for approval for recommendation as well.
Very good. So David, you want to make a comment? Or do we have questions for David first?
I'll take questions. Happy to.
Well, I think Jane and I are both on a little bit of an inside track. So if any other members have questions of background, I mean, again, he's got a terrific resume. I think we're fortunate to have him land here. And it seems that the staffing from the city's perspective is doing much better than elsewhere. So that's a positive step. So.
Yes, if there's no questions, I'd just like to thank Jill so far for the onboarding. It's been wonderful. Working with Greg and Gemma have been great. So they're managing to try and get me up to speed with everything you folks are doing and everything going on in the city. And I'd certainly like to thank the mayor's office for taking a chance on me, and look forward to working with everybody. It's an exciting time.
That's for sure. Greg, procedurally, we just make a motion to recommend.
Yeah, I
moved.
think you can make us, whoop. I guess you just made a motion to recommend the appointment of Dave Field to Community Development Director.
That was it.
We have a motion. I need a second, please, Jane.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member McCarl,
Yes,
Member Bookin,
Yes.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
and Member Remsen.
Yes, welcome, David. We're very
Sometimes
lucky to
things are
have you.
just easy.
Yeah, and we didn't even put any conditions in, which is wonderful. And no
Thank you for
variances.
Don't worry, the council would take them back out.
Right. Yes, of course. Welcome, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's going to be an exciting meeting, Joe, if you want to hang around.
Might just hang around for a little bit. I have the city council president and vice president next door, so I might have to jump back off, but we'll see.
You're better here. So,
I hope your volume was kind of low.
so if you want to put up the agenda again for me, Greg. Okay, so next on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. This is approval not required plan submitted by Mark McGuire and Margaret Burke to redivide 2020, 2022, and 2022R and 2026 Atlantic Street, Assessors Map 256, lots 51, 53, 54, 57, and 61 into 4 lots. So I believe there's probably a representation member here before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing the applicants for this redivision of lot lines at 222 rear Atlantic Street. This is what you see there is an existing conditions plan showing the existing lots within Georgine Circle, which is a circular road partially constructed, as you can see on either end, and not constructed in the interior toward the middle of the plan. So the idea is to redivide the lots that are shown on that plat with the plan that Greg has put up. Thank you, Greg. Realigning the lot lines to show what are shown as lots 2, 3, and 4 within the circle, and then the remaining land being lot 1. So it's essentially just a redivision of existing lot lines. Can answer any questions you might have.
Jane?
Yeah, a couple questions. Greg, could you show me, well, the first question is, can you show me the frontage of lots 2, 4, and 1, I guess? So they're on Georgine Circle. I take it, the constructed part.
That's correct.
Yes, so the only real lot that will front, well, 2 of the lots have some amount of frontage on Atlantic Street, being lot 3 in the center, and then lot 4 has this 28.53 feet on Atlantic Street, and then the others have access again on Georgine Circle, the constructed portion on this side for lot 2, and lot 4 as well, and then the existing home has the address off of the improved Georgine Circle. So it's an odd configuration. You know, that property owns, I believe, John, you can correct me if it owns part of the right of way in fee, but then it also has this large piece in the back.
That's correct. Yeah, 3.41 acres.
So does this, so since the lot lines moved from the outside of Georgine Circle of lot 1 to the basically inside, so now they own what was the paper road, does that create non-conforming dead-end streets?
I mean, I don't think it changes anything for lot 2. This is constructed and it has the required length along this section here. If you can see my cursor. I don't know that the right of way is necessarily going away, John. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's others that have rights to that right of way, so that would still be in effect. That it's still be in a paper form, unimproved, if you will.
So then how does lot 4 have frontage on a road?
Well, lot 4, this section of Jargene is constructed. So this is constructed all the way up to this terminus loop. So lot 4 can access from here, or potentially, if they chose to access from Atlantic Street. I believe the intention was to access from Jargene. And then it's constructed all the way along. Again, kind of lot 4 is that's the total acreage, John, including the right of way.
That's correct. Yes.
But this still exists, correct?
Yeah, they own it in fee, but others have the right to pass and repass.
Right.
So is on the right Georgine Circle constructed with a 46-foot width or just the width of the driveway?
It's a 30-foot width, and it's not constructed to the full width. But the proposed access is for one additional lot. It's paved, it's fairly well maintained. It certainly doesn't meet the standard for new subdivision, but it's an existing road. And this road was laid out and constructed in its form actually prior to subdivision control law back in 1957.
Okay,
So it kind of falls under the existing private way rather than holding it to a new construction standard.
okay.
Any other questions?
Beverly's waving her hand.
Oh, I can't see her because too many people in the meeting tonight. Go ahead, Beverly.
Sorry, I didn't turn my, so lot 1 is on the other side of the uncompleted portion, and is that an existing house there? And
It is.
it takes its access from this portion of the circle?
Correct.
Yeah, right there, so it meets, so it's fine,
Yes.
okay. All right.
Yeah, it's just lot 4 that I find slightly troubling, but because, you know, lot 1 has 40 foot of frontage on Atlantic Street, basically. But lot 4 has 28 foot of frontage on Atlantic Street, and the rest of it's, you know, otherwise it's counting on its frontage from that Georgine Circle. But if Greg, if you're telling me that's a road, I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
I guess it would have been helpful if maybe if I go back to the other plan, the existing conditions plan, some of these details might be a little bit easier to see.
It's okay. I believe you.
So this is paved. This has been constructed. You know, it does kind of fall a little bit in and out of the layout at this point. But in its current, this 222R has frontage here along this constructed portion of Jargene. And that's certainly well beyond the frontage requirement for the R20 district. And they are looking to kind of consolidate this property into one lot. So it would continue, this right of way still exists, even though it's unimproved in this section. And again, that would provide the access for lot 4. This one would have access from Atlantic Street. And then again, Jargene is improved on this side as well for one additional lot. That helps.
Yeah, so the frontage requirement is what exactly?
The frontage requirement is 80 feet.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, that part of Georgine Road looks like a driveway to me, but
Yeah, I mean,
if it's a road,
certainly
it's a
not-
road.
Yeah, it's certainly not, I mean, it's similar to, maybe even the fact that this is improved to pavement. There are certainly roads in North Gloucester, for instance, that are gravel and maintain gravel. It's not that wide of a road. It is being proposed to post one additional access. In each case, there's proposed one additional access.
Can I ask a question? I'm trying to place this on Atlantic since I live on that street. Is this where the recreational park is?
So this is the last left you can make before you get to Wingersheet Beach. If you continue down the
Oh,
road,
okay.
the parking lot is at the very end. So you
Gotcha.
can see
So it's
the
way down at
locust
the
map
bottom.
up here.
Yeah, it's a
That
little
way.
hard to read, but okay.
Zoom in on that.
I'll look at it here. Okay.
My cursor. So there up in the upper corner there, we're way
Yeah,
out
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end, right by.
Got it, got it, got it.
Yep.
So it's further east. Okay, thank you. Now I know where it is.
Any other questions or comments? Jane, you want to take a crack at a motion?
I move that we approve the approval not required plan submitted by Mark McGuire and Margaret Burke to redivide 220, 222, 222R and 226 Atlantic Street into 4 lots.
You have a motion. I need a second, please.
Second.
Second,
We're going to give that to Beverly because she's the newcomer back from the traveling world. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes,
member Bookin,
yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
and member Remsen.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you all very much. Have a good night.
To the agenda.
Okay. So next under the consent agenda this evening is approval not required plan submitted by Joel Ribeiro for division of land at 11 and 11R Overlook Avenue, Assessors Map 236, lots 64, 65, 66, 67, and 92 into 2 lots. There you
It's a fairly simple application. Let me call it up. You were provided the application to zoning board decisions. Essentially, this is a consolidation of a number of lots into 2 lots, which don't conform in every way for the R10 district, but they kind of have created them in such a way to be as compliant as they possibly could. They do exceed the area requirements, but have some dimensional challenges just based on, again, these were, as you can see, there were a number of lots and 2 structures that were constructed. Not quite sure of the era of when they were constructed, but the redivision, creates some conformity, but the outstanding nonconformities were approved by variance from the Board of Appeals.
Any questions on this one? Jane?
I just have a quick observation that there seems to be an extra line in there, but I don't think it really makes any difference. There's, Greg, right under where it says lot C, and then it says A equals blah, blah, right under the F. There's that big dotted line. I don't think that was 2 lots. Right? That this whole rectangle was 1. Yeah, that line. No, the first half of the line exists. The second half doesn't. Yep, right from where your cursor is to the right.
And you're from looking at the existing assessors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it makes any difference. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that'll have to be corrected or not. But in principle, I think the 2 lot configuration is acceptable, but I could certainly circle back with Attorney Frontier to make sure that that's an accurate reflection, because typically the registry wants to see the progression. And if that, if that was maybe a tie line for when they were trying to create, what was there, it's possible that it was left on.
All right, Jane gets the gold star again tonight.
You mean?
Oh, you
make-
just wait.
Oh. Should I make a motion?
Well, no, I was just saying, we're going to
Oh.
recognize you with a gold star for picking up an extra line. There's about 37 of them on this particular draft. But,
Yeah.
and you can make a motion too. That'd be wonderful.
Okay. I move that we approve the approval not required plan submitted by Joel Ribeiro for the division of land at 11 and 11R Overlook Avenue into 2 lots.
Motion and a second, please.
I'll second.
Oof, Hank got that one.
Yeah.
Motion and a second. We need a roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl. I think you're muted, Hank.
As he nods
Uh,
in acknowledgement.
Member Bookin,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
and member Remsen.
Yes.
Fantastic. Do we want to, is Joel here for, oh, is he here for the permits? Decisions?
Joe is probably here for the decision to adopt for the special permit for the cluster development at 160 Essex Ave.
Okay,
You want to go out of order, we can do that.
with no objections. So under other business, item 4, we're going to take out of order decision to adopt a special permit for a cluster development to be located at 160 Essex Avenue. And this has been a long, excuse the dogs. So Joel, go ahead. I'll mute my puppies.
Sure. For the record, Joel Favazza, attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions, 123 Main Street in Gloucester. Here on behalf of Upper Banjo LLC. Basically just here to once again thank the board for all their hard work on this. My understanding that a draft formal decision has been circulated among the members. Edits have been made. As far as the applicant is concerned, we think that the written decision is a fair representation of what was deliberated and voted on at your last meeting at which this was discussed. And so we're just here tonight asking for the board to vote to adopt the decision.
So I will just point out that Jane also had provided some, I think, not substantive amendments to the draft, other than to the monster paragraph, which I think now is kind of broken up and reads a little bit better. I will note a couple of other changes that I discussed with Joel that he has suggested in terms of a potential amendment to the draft. One that Jane had mentioned, the reference in the waiver of the sidewalk. Wanted it to be explicit that it was a condition of the board additionally to add a sidewalk to be constructed on the west side of the road from Malcolm Road to Essex Ave. And I want to make sure that we're all consistent on that and agree on that. So that's been added to that waiver, which now reads, additionally, a sidewalk shall be constructed on the west side of the road from Malcolm Road to Essex Avenue. Then there was one other place where, in the consideration of the guidelines and regulations of the cluster development ordinance, there's a consideration of historic resources potentially. And Joel has provided just for, completeness in terms of those things that were reviewed. And one of the things that was proposed is that they will be able to preserve the pond and also maintain the dam associated with it. And so I'll just share my screen. Is the only other place I think that there's a proposed change other than what Jane had provided. That there was an additional consideration that Joel's provided language for the preservation and protection of the historic resource that is Upper Banjo Pond, will be maintained by an active homeowners association sharing in the upkeep. And that's in the section that deals with the considerations in the cluster development ordinance. So barring that, it's essentially in the same form that has been provided to you. I can answer any other question.
Beverly?
Point of order, since I missed this meeting, do I just have to step down and not vote for it? I mean, I've read it, but did not participate in the hearing that.
Did you listen to the minutes of the meeting?
No.
That's gonna be a tough one.
There was a lifeline.
Oh, yeah, sorry, didn't
I think
think to do
it
that.
needs, I think it probably only needs a simple majority of the board to adopt the decision, even though the vote of the board was a supermajority. So I don't know that there would be any harm in you abstaining if you wanted to.
Well, I think it'd probably be a good idea. I'm in support of the project and I think all the conditions of approval as written are fine, but I just don't want to step on a procedural problem. So if it's not a problem, why not save me to last? And if we meet the requirement without me, then I'll just abstain, or how's that as a solution?
Aren't you allowed to miss one meeting and still vote?
Well, it's
I
not a
thought-
matter of missing a meeting because I participated in all the hearings on this, but this was really a key meeting. I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't run
I
into
thought the
this problem.
rule, I mean, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the rule was you could miss one meeting and still vote. You can't miss two.
Correct. If you've looked at the a transcription of the meeting or the minutes of the meeting, you can miss one session.
Yeah, I better declare. I think I will step back and just to be on the safe side procedurally. Don't you think?
I think that's the better
yeah.
step.
Okay.
Any other questions from members on the decision to adopt? Seeing none. Jane?
Yes, I move that we adopt the special permit for a cluster development to be located at 160 Essex Ave.
We have a motion. I need a second, please.
I'll second.
So it's okay.
Okay, we'll give that one to Mr. McCarl, our senior member. We have a motion and a second. We'll need a roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes.
member Bookin,
Abstain.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
and member Remsen.
Yes,
Okay.
congratulations, Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for all that hard work,
Congrats.
the long
Well,
Well, you've worked hard too, so.
team effort. See you on the next one.
Thank you. I don't know why that second cluster sailed through, but you know. Guess we got better at it. Agenda, please.
Yep.
Okay, let's get back on track. Why don't we, it doesn't really matter. Do you want to do minutes, Jane, or do you want to do wireless communication facilities?
Doesn't matter. I made a few comments on the minutes, but nothing substantive.
Okay, so why don't we take item 2 under other business, decision to adopt special permit of a wireless communications facility to be located at 300 Concord Street.
So you'll recall we heard a couple of different two applications in one evening for small cellular installations that are going to be capped on telephone poles at 300 Concord Street and 77 Sumner in the vicinity. These decisions are pretty much very similar to the ones that were issued for the 3 similar type of installations last year. They've been reviewed by Verizon. They had no comments on the draft. So I think they're fairly straightforward, but if you had any questions about them, answer them.
Are these 5G items?
These are not, these were the ones that I think you had asked that question.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, during the hearing, and they said that they were not. They're just looking to kind of expand coverage in these particular areas with this new technology, which I think in a lot of ways, is a direction that they're heading because of, folks really don't want to see large monopole towers, 150 feet in height anywhere. So this will be numbers, I think 5 and 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more of them crop up because they're pretty quick to install and then also, provide the coverage that they're looking to enhance.
Beverly?
Are these telephone poles in the public right of way?
They are.
Yeah, so that's
They
another
are.
consider. They're not on private property either.
Correct. They can be potentially. We did have a couple of examples where one was located, I believe, National Grid had an easement on city property, so they have the rights to affix and attach to the pole. So technically it was on city property, but they had the right to do it. So there could be instances where we might see something on private property as well, but obviously it would require them to have the right of entry.
That's the purpose of the public right of having utilities in the public right of way is so that it doesn't, that's a good thing. So I just wanted to remember that.
Yep.
Now, did I miss this? Was this also at the beginning, mid-July?
Yes, this was at the
Okay.
July 21st meeting, so you missed
So
these
I
as
will
well.
have to abstain again. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Jane, it's all up to you.
Oh, I didn't realize it was unmuted. I move that we adopt the special permit for the wireless communication facility to be located at 300 Concord Street.
Motion and a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean. I almost gave that one to Catherine, but she's not a member. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes.
member Bookin,
Abstain.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Remsen.
Yes.
Fantastic. So next, under other business, we're going to move right on to item 3, decision to adopt special permit for wireless communications facility to be located at 77 Sumner Street. Sort of
And
same.
if you had a sharp eye, you would see a find and replace with address, poll number, and other things that had to just be replaced out. Again, no special conditions in these permits, but correct identification of the location and the entities that filed and the release that was granted.
Jane or Beverly, I don't think you're here for this one either, so I'm glad you showed up tonight. Any further discussion on Sumner Street? Seeing none, Jane, it's up to you.
I move that we adopt the special permit for a cluster development, for a wireless communications facility to be located at 77 Sumner Street.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Henry gets that one. Motion for a roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes.
member Bookin,
Abstain.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
and member Remsen.
Yes.
Great. Last-
Minutes.
So review minutes of the July 21 and November 18 and there's a July 21 of 22, November 18 of 21, November 4 of 21. So 3 sets. All together, please.
Would you like them up or?
If it's right at your fingertips, we can raise through them. If not,
We can do that. At least, oh, there. So the July 21st draft minutes.
I don't think this shows my comments, does it? Do it? So the grammar.
I usually don't do the back end work.
That's okay.
Are these just the original draft? Okay, so these don't have your proposed changes.
Okay. So
Okay.
for we're doing what, July 21?
21, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to describe them, if they're
Yeah,
anything significant.
I had grammatical.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at my own comments here. Nope, I had nothing really except grammatical stuff.
Okay.
And punctuation.
Any other questions or comments for the 21st of July?
I think I added here, yeah, after Mr. McKenna, I added seeing no other comments or something like that. Chair Noonan closes the public comment period. I'm just so sensitive to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, so not hearing any comments or additions or modifications or clarifications, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of the 21st of July.
I move that we approve the July 21, 2022 minutes.
Second,
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
yes,
member Bookin,
I wasn't here, abstained.
Dane, member Cook,
Abstain as well.
Hmm,
member Henry,
Yes.
and member Remsen.
Yes.
Okay.
was a squeaker.
Okay, these are the minutes of November 18th.
Yeah, I did I made a change. Well, I did the same thing under the public hearing for the proposed zoning ordinance amendment. I added seeing no further questions or comments, Chairman Noonan closed the public comment period. But then I also, the last paragraph where it says member Henry clarifies for the public. I changed it to, if you guys agree, clarifies for the public that two-family is currently allowed by right as long as there are no changes to external dimensions. The proposal is to allow two-family as of right when external changes are made instead of having to seek a special permit from the ZBA. I just really rewrote the sentence to clarify that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments, modifications, deletions?
Ooh, I just shuddered. The Wayback Machine.
Yeah, right. Okay, Jane, I'll take a motion.
Yeah, let's put this to bed.
Yeah.
Wait, which one is this?
November.
That was the
21?
November 18th.
18. Oh, sorry, yeah. I motion to approve the minutes of November 18, 2021.
second,
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
yes,
member Bookin,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Remsen.
Yes.
Last one.
So in this one, in the second paragraph where it says board members ask about the timing for offer to dedicate, I didn't know what that meant or what that was.
May I say something?
Hmm. Yep, Catherine, go ahead.
So if I recall correctly, Beverly had asked about dedicating the road. that wasn't something that I was familiar with, so I left it just like that.
Possibly.
there's
was-
Better way to say that.
Yeah, let me comment that this is for the farm. Isn't this for the Deacon
Deacon Farm,
Farm
yeah.
Lane?
Yep.
And my point was because it establishes connectivity between Washington and the streets to the east, that it should be a public street. And I was informed it's not automatically, but that the applicant has to offer it to the city and the city has to accept it. And of course, it's predicated on the street meeting city standards. And the presumption is the city would accept it as a public street as opposed to a private. So I don't know about this language, but apparently the thing we have to ask the applicant is to offer it to the city, and the city has the option to accept it
As a public street.
as a public street.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And
you-
did it
could be-
get accepted? Did it get accepted as a
Yeah,
public street?
that hasn't occurred. So I think you could say, asked about the timing for public acceptance of the road.
Okay,
That would cover it.
yep. And was it built to city standards? So there's no impediment to its being?
I mean, there's some waiver, but that, that's,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the justification was provided for why there was waiver granted.
Was the
but
waiver for
it's
sidewalks
not-
on one side? Sidewalks
Right.
on one side?
Yeah, and a couple other things, but it doesn't disqualify the potential for public acceptance.
Okay,
I suppose it could if somebody really, pushed hard with the board and asked to do, I don't know, there could be approaches, for instance, from a drainage perspective that Public Works doesn't want to try to maintain, that they could reject accepting something as a public way. But in this case, I think it was, it's a fairly, not a very complicated road alignments, pretty traditional infrastructure for drainage collection, that type of thing. It wouldn't be disqualified from consideration.
well, more to the point, it's an important part of the street connectivity and that segment shouldn't be private when on either end it is public. So I would hope the city would take that into consideration.
Yes, he has to cut the grass first, though, before we accept it. Jesus. Come on, Bill. Any other questions on November 4th of 2021? Seeing none. Jane,
I move to approve the minutes of November 4, 2021.
A
Second,
second.
oh,
Beverly, it's okay.
were you at this meeting, Beverly?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, you get the second.
I only missed one
Jesus,
meeting. I don't
one.
know why you guys are making it sound like I'm, never
Never,
here.
you're never there.
We don't, you've
Jeez
changed.
Louise, don't even think of
Not everybody
vacation.
runs off and tries to get COVID in Norway.
Yeah.
I didn't get
And-
COVID in November.
That's
And
good.
you're sitting in the front hall, so we don't really know what's going on over there. I mean, isolation.
Yeah, you're in a different location than you
Oh,
usually
yeah,
are,
I
so.
am in a different place. But okay.
So we have a motion and a second. And just need a roll call vote.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
Member Carl,
Yes,
Member Bookin,
Yes,
Member Cook,
Yes.
Member Henry,
Yes.
Member Remsen.
Yes,
And we do have one other business item. I believe Gemma also had forwarded out a draft letter of support for the open space plan. No,
Yes.
folks had an opportunity to review that and had any comment. I'll let Gemma drive
I
on
missed-
that one.
I missed it.
So we don't have to, if you missed it, we don't have to do anything on this today, but just so you know, I and Jane, I can look at that. Maybe I missed your email on that one.
Oh, no, I
sent
have
out-
it. I just didn't look at it. My mom had a knee replacement. I'm like missing everything.
Mhm.
Oh.
But basically, we're looking for a review from the planning board. I sent out a link to the draft open space recreation plan. And then I also put together a quick little letter of support and letting the state know that you did review the plan. And the hope would be to make a motion of some kind at a meeting, and then get a signature from the chair to pass that along to the state as part of the open space recreation plan.
And we put that off to the next meeting in terms of timing and commit to all being
We can.
prepared to vote on it. I think that's
We can.
probably a good idea.
Yeah, it's 280 pages long.
Yeah, don't worry. There's a big chunk in the middle that's an inventory. That's a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. So
So if you could just look at you can execute the executive
For
summary.
75 pages, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is that gonna be okay, Gemma?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Fantastic.
Okay. I have one other item.
Go ahead, Beverly.
So the state has reissued its transportation, its transit
TOD.
TOD regulations and they've been substantially revised. But in reading through it, didn't particularly look to change the initial set of requirements for Gloucester. I may be wrong, but what is the path forward on this, and is it proactive, Greg, for maybe our housing subcommittee to look at it?
I think what the administration would like to do is, and I forwarded out the draft regulations as well as the link. There is a webinar that's going to be conducted on
The
September
8th, I
8th.
think, or 11th.
I'm sure, and it's on the 8th. It's on the 8th, and I'm sure if you don't have the opportunity to view it, I'm sure they're going to post it to the state website as well. We will kind of continue to digest what changes have been made. There have been a few that I think will make it a lot easier for the interpretation of it. There was one thing that really kind of stuck with me, and I went to every single one of the information sessions and feedback sessions that the state had offered. Is they included right-of-ways initially in the boundaries of these areas that you might designate for higher density, which essentially is a dilution factor, because we zone property, we don't zone right-of-ways. For communities that may have had more of a grid or a street network, it basically was kind of a situation where they would have to up the density in order to meet the requirements. So they did make some changes like that. They've also included a lot of new exclusions of things of not to be considered when you're calculating. They've also suggested that they're going to actually develop a tool that'll be available later this fall for people for communities to use for scenario planning. That that was one of the things. They had this really long kind of definitional process of how to conduct whether or not you satisfy the requirements or not. They sound like they're going to be building some tools. So I think we'll probably debrief after that with the administration and then discuss what the next steps might be.
So would it be a good idea, then I have already signed up for the seminar. You're right,
Yep.
It's on the 8th. I just have my.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be, of those of us on the board who are interested, especially because it's a housing related one, I know, Sean, that's a particular interest of yours, that we read the regs, we go to the seminar so that we're prepared if the administration asks.
Yep.
To be able to present some ideas about where the planning board's coming from.
Yeah, I think probably later September.
Okay.
After we kind of have an opportunity to digest it a little bit.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I have one other small thing. Gemma, can you put the open space plan review on the agenda for next time?
Yeah,
Because
that was the other thing that we were.
that's how I need to know what I'm prepping for.
Yep.
And also, I believe David has stepped off of the floodplain zoning committee.
Mhm.
And I know Sean had volunteered to be on it before, but there wasn't enough room. So I didn't know if we needed to appoint Sean or somebody.
If you're up for it, Sean, you're it.
Sure, I'm still good.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay,
Do we have
so
to do
that-
it? Do we have to vote on that or we just do it?
Sure, you can
I
Go
don't
ahead
need to
and
vote on it.
codify it.
Okay, I move that we appoint Sean to the flood zoning subcommittee.
Subcommittee.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes,
member Bookin,
yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Renton.
Yes.
Well, now that we're all kind of back, I think we will try to circle back with Ann Herbst and probably set a meeting for the floodplain subcommittee. You tell me if anybody has any trips planned in the last 2 weeks of the summer before Labor Day. If not, we might be able to squeeze in a meeting next week or the following week. And then we'll probably hold the housing subcommittee to maybe the second or third week in September.
I'll be out next Tuesday through Thursday. I'll be in Colorado. But
Okay,
Monday, actually Boston Monday. So you could do Friday or the following week's open
the
right now.
following week. Okay, the following week might be better. I'm out of the office until early next week. So maybe we'll look at the week of beginning the 29th.
Are we still meeting as subcommittees in Zoom or are we meeting in person now?
So if you'd like to see each other, we could potentially use the Harbor Master's office. We would likely broadcast it because we haven't really pivoted to public participation yet. But if the members of the subcommittee wanted to meet, we have the ability in that room to project the entire room, so we could meet in person if you wanted to do that.
Okay, let's just leave some options open for that. as
Yeah.
we-
Okay.
I would just put out there that I have to wear a mask, which is
Well,
a bummer.
okay.
Not, I don't care about wearing a mask, but I think it's frustrating for the public sometimes not to see my face.
I was just asking. I mean, it's certainly
Yeah.
Zoom works fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll circle back. You'll still be able to reply, Sean, with availability for the following week when you're away. So we'll try to schedule that towards the end of next week.
Right.
Congratulations on hiring David, whatever his last name is. Totally
Yeah,
awesome. I mean,
it's
you
very
must be-
exciting.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And we also have a conservation agent, Chuck
Oh,
Shade.
congratulations.
He's been here for 2 weeks and a day. And last night we began the Conservation Commission meeting together, and about 25 minutes in, I left the meeting.
You
So,
pieced out. That's great.
Yeah,
I
you
pieced
don't
out,
have to do
so-
both.
and that went great. So, and we are in the process of making hopefully an offer to an assistant conservation agent, so that there'll be 2 full-time staff in that office, which is much needed. So
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Greg. That's
it's
really
wonderful,
good.
wonderful to have
That's
colleagues.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a comment on general procedures at the appropriate time, Rick.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell everybody that my term on the Community Preservation Committee is up in February. And I'm apparently ineligible to continue because of requirements that set that up. So somebody else on the board needs to think about the possibility of serving on the Community Preservation Committee. It's not a terribly difficult thing, but it does take a lot of time to go over the stuff and see that the things are eligible and of course allocate monies. It's always fun to allocate money. A lot of people like that, but it's something that I'd like the members to consider, so that somebody will step forward on that, because my term is up in February.
Jane, I wasn't sure if that was me,
That was
please,
no, it
or
says-
not me. Last one to- okay.
We have a family thing, like quick
We
touch
just-
your nose and you don't have to empty the dishwasher. Yeah.
Well, we'll keep that on everybody's minds who might be interested.
All right. Well, thank you for your service, Hank. Again.
Well, it'll be a while till February, and we're going to go through this the current cycle.
Right.
But it turned out that there's some question why I served as long as I did, but it was because I was sitting in a partial term and fulfilling that. So that, but it all worked out okay. I'm not illegally serving.
Very good. So we'll give you the opportunity to make a motion to adjourn then.
I'll be happy to move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, second, please.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And we'll call vote, I guess.
Member Noonan,
Yes.
member McCarl,
Yes.
member Bookin,
Yes.
member Cook,
Yes.
member Henry,
Yes.
member Remsen.
Yes.
All right, well, see some of you sooner than later, and otherwise have a lovely Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Summer is coming to a
Good night.
close.
Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
Towards the end of the summer.
Good job.
care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.